Okay, so this is a place of peace and prosperity. And we have 200 acres here. So as you drove in, you probably saw on both sides of the valley, that's all our land. So we have 200 acres where we keep, at the moment we have 27 cows and bulls. So after lunch you can come and meet our cows and bulls if you'd like to meet them. They're very special because we run an ahimsa dairy here. Ahimsa means non-violence. It means peace. So all of our cows, they're born here and they die here without any fear. So it's quite unique, especially in a country like Australia, because the farm next door to us is a beef farm. So it's actually a prison camp where they keep all the cows, and then after some time, when they're ready, they just slaughter them, and then they get shipped off to wherever they get shipped off to. But here, the vibration is very different, because what we're trying to teach people is that you can live in harmony with nature, and you don't have to be exploitive. And if you live like that in a very peaceful way, where you don't try to exploit others and you don't commit violence on others, then the atmosphere becomes very peaceful, very sublime. So you may have noticed, you've only been here for a short amount of time, you may have noticed that the atmosphere is very peaceful here. Have you noticed that? No one noticed? Anyone noticed? Oh, you did? That's good. Yeah. So the atmosphere is very peaceful because we live differently here. So we're trying to set a positive example of how to live in the world, because the world is lost at this point in time. Is that a fair statement, do you think? It's a little bit off track. Is that fair? A little bit derailed. Is that fair? Okay. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if you are thinking like that. The world is lost at the moment, and we can teach people from what we do here how to live harmoniously, so that you can do away with so many of the problems in the world. Because all of these problems we have in the world at the moment, they're unnecessary, and they don't have to be there. COVID doesn't have to be there. COVID came from manipulation. It either came from two places, right? Either in a lab, because humans are playing around with things that they don't need to play around with, or it came from wet markets where animals are being exploited. The animals are being exploited when they don't need to be exploited. So here at Hare Krishna Valley, you won't find any labs, and you won't find any wet markets, because we don't live like that, because we live naturally. Like if you look at our signboard as you drive in, it says Hare Krishna Valley, and then do you remember what it says underneath?
Check the ego.
Yeah, that's the box. Yeah, as you come down, there's the ego box. Yep, that's a little bit further. But if you go back up to the first sign, up the top, it says Hare Krishna Valley, and then underneath, what's our motto?
Simple living, higher thinking.
Yeah, it says natural living and higher thinking. That's our motto. Live naturally, right, in harmony with the earth, in harmony with nature, in harmony with the animals, in harmony with the human beings. And higher thinking. Think about more elevated things. Because people don't really tend to think a lot these days. Everyone just kind of follows the system. Society in general tends to not think about the consequences of things. A lot of people just spend their time just watching television or Netflix or things like that. Not a lot of thinking going on. Right? And when you're just living on that very kind of base level, then you're not becoming more enlightened. So here we teach people how to live naturally and live a more enlightened existence. So we brought this place in 1987. Before this, we had another farm. Our other farm was in near Mildura, which is about 6 hours away. And we had 20,000 acres on the bank of the Murray River. But it was too far away. Yeah, I mean, imagine if you had to drive up there just to get something to eat. It's a long way to go. So we moved down here, much closer to Melbourne, an hour and a half from Melbourne, half an hour from Geelong. And we brought this place in 1987. So we've been here for a bit over 30 years. So when we first brought the place, we built this building we're in now. This was our school. So we had a primary school for our kids, and we ran the primary school for about 6-7 years. And then the school closed. They were merging all the small schools in country Victoria, so we lost our funding at that point in time. So everyone moved to our other farm, which is near Byron Bay in Murwillumbah. We have 800 acres up there. It's a very beautiful farm that we have there. And we have a school up there which has been running for over 40 years. And then this place was dormant, so then I came down here about 14 years ago to turn it into a retreat centre. So now we run retreats when we can. At the moment we can't. I had 8 retreats booked in the next 9 weeks, but we had to cancel nearly all of them because the world's a little crazy at the moment. So we'll be open again, we'll be back. And then we have our open days, which are once a month, which you're welcome to come and join us. Thank you all for coming. We do this once a month. Normally we have 50, 100 people come. At the moment we have to, the government has told us you can only have 20 people. So we'll be back, we'll be bigger, and next year I think things will open up again and we'll explore more things. So I'm just going to ask if anyone has any questions they'd like to ask about the meaning of life, the universe and everything, or anything about our lifestyle, or anything about our philosophy, or anything you'd always wanted to know about the Hare Krishnas, or anything you ever want to ask a Hare Krishna. So you have my undivided attention, and if you have any questions I can try to answer at this point in time.
I was wondering about the fire that came around, and I saw people do that. What's the meaning of that?
What's the meaning?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that ceremony we're doing in the beginning, that's called an arati. So if you go to the temples in India, they always do these ceremonies. They're called arati ceremonies. And in the temples in India, they'll do them about 7 times a day. So we're just doing it now just because everyone's here at this point. It's a blessing ceremony. And it's a way of welcoming a great person. Because this is technically what we call a temple, right? Even though it's quite simple. It's just a classroom which I renovated. And when I got here 14 years ago, there's blackboards everywhere, and so I had to turn it into a temple. So we've made it look temple-ish at this point in time. But if you go to our more elaborate temples around the world, it's much more ornate and it's purpose-built for that purpose. So the point is this is God's house. We call God Krishna. So Krishna's the blue cowherd boy. You see in all the pictures around the room. We see God as a bluish cowherd boy. Not an old man, not with big white beard and robes and, just like Michelangelo, if you go to the Sistine Chapel in Italy, then you see on the roof, God is, old man, he's got like big white beard and he's reaching out to humans and humans are reaching out to him. We see him as a 16-year-old cowherd boy who's bluish and likes to dance and play with his friends in the forest all day long. So who would you prefer? Most people are going to pick Krishna, obviously. Some people might pick, the other version. But so our understanding of God, of Krishna, is coming from ancient teachings. It's not something we made up. It's been passed down for thousands of years. These temples have been constructed for thousands of years. There's one temple. Usually every November I take a group on a pilgrimage to India. I take a small group and we go around to holy sites. And there's one temple I take everyone to. I took Shade in there, when was it, 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2019. 2019,
yeah, it was the last time we could go, 2019. So the temple there in Jagannath Puri is 3,000 years old, made of solid stone. It's 20 stories high, beautiful, beautiful temple. So in these ancient temples, we consider these places to be the house of Krishna, the house of God. So when someone great comes to your home, or if anyone comes to your home, you welcome them. Like someone comes, you say, sit down, would you like something to drink, would you like something to eat, like that. So what we do is, just like we were doing the ceremony before, the first thing we do is we offer the incense, because you want your house to smell nice. Or if someone comes around to your house and they walk in, they go like, they might not say anything, but they might not feel comfortable, and you might also feel embarrassed. So we always make sure the scent is nice. That's the first thing. It's a cultural way to receive someone. Then we offer the flame. So the flame represents, before we had electricity, that's how they used to light the place. It was all candlelit or lamps, like that. So the flame represents lighting the plate, like getting everything lit. And then we offer the water. The water is like, someone comes to your house, if they've travelled a long way, you say, do you want to have a shower? So it's like offering them water to bathe or to drink or like that. And then we offer the cloth, the handkerchief, the cloth. That means in a cultured place, if someone comes to your home, a special guest, you offer them clothing. You say, here's some fresh clothing. You've travelled a long way. Because back in the old days, people used to walk. Now imagine you had to walk here today, you'd feel different. If you had to walk from Geelong or from Torquay or whatever, by the time you got here, you'd be a bit tired. So we might say to you, do you want some fresh clothes? Have a bath, shower, and then do you want some fresh clothes to put on? That's a cultured way to receive someone. And then you say to the person, keep the clothing in a cultured sea. So, here's fresh, you keep it. And then we offer the flowers. So you see the garlands that we offer. So the garlands are like you put on, and Krishna's always wearing garlands. Or some of the pictures he's wearing garlands. So you put like a flower, like when you arrive in Hawaii, they put a lei on you. They put like a flower garland. So it's a way of, it's very nice, very cultural way to receive someone. And then finally the yak tail, that's like a fan. Because these days we just plug you say you're hot, just plug the fan in, it'll turn on the AC. But back in the old day, we would fan you. Oh, you're hot? So, or the insects around, keep the insects away. Like that. So it's a culture way to receive someone. So then we take it around to everyone because we've offered it to Krishna, to God. He accepts it, he purifies it, and then when you touch it, you get purified. It spiritualizes you. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what Tarini's about to do, she's just put the screen there. We've just cooked a whole meal, a feast. We're about to offer it to God, to Krishna, and then he will eat it, and then we'll distribute it at lunchtime, and everyone will eat, and because he's eaten it, it's become spiritualized or purified. And then we call that prasadam. And then just by eating it, you become enlightened. Does it make sense? Yeah. So that's what we do. That's part of our culture. So someone say, well, that's just in your mind, I don't believe that. That's cool. But for someone who is a little enlightened, I think they'll feel a difference from it. Because when you start eating the Hare Krishna food, it's like there's something different about it. Back in the 70s when the Hare Krishnas first arrived in Australia, they said we were a cult because we're different, especially back in the 70s. People like wearing orange robes, dancing down the street with tambourines and shaved heads. That's different in the 1970s. Now it's kind of like people don't even notice us anymore. They're the Hare Krishnas. But back then it was like, whoa, first time. So when we first came and we first started doing that, people said, well, it's a cult. They must be brainwashing the people. Mind control drugs. So they must be putting something in the food. So back in the 70s, the turmeric, which makes the food yellow, no one knew what turmeric was in the 70s. So they said, oh, the turmeric, the yellow stuff, it's controlling their minds. And so they're putting drugs in there to give them. So we have put a lot of turmeric in your food today. Because now turmeric's everything. Like you got the cafe, it's like turmeric latte, it's like turmeric's all over everything now. We've known about it for thousands of years. Turmeric's very powerful blood purifier. It does antioxidant, it does so many things. Generally, if you have turmeric, you won't get diseases. We eat a lot of turmeric, so it's very powerful. So that's why we offer the food. That's why we do the ceremony. That's why we bring it around, because it purifies everyone in the room. So that's why we do it. So some people think we're crazy, but the thing in this world, everyone's crazy. Hands up if you're not. Hands up if you are. Okay, I've got 98%. I've got 98%. Everyone's crazy. Right? Everyone, to a degree. It's good to be a little crazy. To be a lot crazy is not good. It's not good for you, it's not good for others. Because then you got to deal with it. It's like, it's not good. A little crazy is good. Little bit. So, we don't let anyone come here unless they're a little bit. If they're a lot, we have to say maybe you can't stay. So everyone's got to be a little bit crazy. That's okay. Right? But the point is, in this world, is that you have to choose which crazy group you want to be with. So George Harrison, you probably heard of George Harrison. He was in that band. What was the band called? The Beatles. The Beatles, right? Biggest band in history. So George Harrison, he was very close to Prabhupada, who was our guru, who founded the whole Hare Krishna movement. He gave, if you go to England, the manor, which is a beautiful old estate, George brought that and gave that to Prabhupada in the 70s. And now it's the biggest Hindu shrine in England. It's a Hare Krishna temple. So he gave that. He was very fond. And when Prabhupada passed away in 1977, he took off his ring and he said, give that to George. A couple of months before he left. So they're very close relationship. So George wrote that song, My Sweet Lord. Hare Krishna. And that became number one all over the world. And so they're very close. He's very intimately connected to our movement. So back in the 70s, he actually said to Prabhupada, should I shave my head and become a full-time Hare Krishna? Prabhupada said no. He said, you just keep making your music, but sing about Krishna. And that's what he did. So George once said, everyone's a little crazy, but you have to choose which group you want to hang out with. So he said, I choose to hang out with the Hare Krishnas, because their type of crazy, that's a good crazy. And the crazy that's on the other side of the forest, that's up to you. I'm not judging anyone. If you want to hang out with that bunch of crazies, go and hang out with them. If you want to hang out with this bunch of crazies, come here. Because everyone's crazy, but this crazy makes a lot more sense to me. Right? And Prabhupada said, even if Krishna is not God, our life's better. Yeah, our food's better. Look where we live. It's better. The way we live, it's better. It's just a better way to live. And and if at the end, if it was just a hallucination and we don't actually go back to Krishna, we didn't lose anything. We still had a good life. And if we do, that's a bonus. You go to live in a place, heaven, or we call it Goloka. You live with God, you live with Krishna forever. You have picnics, you dance, you herd cows, for your whole life, for eternity. And you never have to pay for anything. Everything's free. There's no rent. All the food's free. You can eat Hare Krishna food eternally. Hands up if that sounds good. Okay, we've got 4 people in the room. Okay, you can do it. The rest of you, we'll see you next time. But if you, that's basically what's on offer. So if it's true, it's really good. And if it's not true, it's still pretty good anyway. So yeah, that's why we take the lamp around. So that's my long version.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like to give a more elaborate version.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I could just say some basic thing, but I want to give you the whole cultural context of why we do these things. Because everything we do in the Hare Krishna movement, there's a reason. Right? There's a reason why I've got this haircut. Right? It's not just because I can't, when I shave, I can't see the back. So, there's a reason. There's a reason why we do everything that we do. Right? Nothing is, how do you call it? Unreasonable or illogical. Just like I was listening to Ben Shapiro. Has anyone heard of Ben Shapiro? Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Not many people. Anyway, there's a guy in America, he's like a political commentator. So I was listening to him recently. He's Jewish. And someone said to him, they said, why do you do some of those things that you do in Judaism? They put a bit of material on their head. And so he goes, actually, I don't know some of the reasons, but, we do it because it's that doesn't make sense. I don't do anything which does not make sense. If they can't tell me why, I'm not going to do it. So everything in the Hare Krishna movement, there's logic and there's reason behind everything. There's like a higher sense or higher purpose behind it all. There's nothing they say, oh, just do it. Of that. There has to be a reason why we do everything. And the reasons make sense in a cultural context of that. So, very good question. So, anyone else have questions? Like us? Adam?
Why do you shave your heads?
Why do we shave our head? Yeah, good question. So why do we shave our heads? Renunciation. Because, all the monks, you go to Buddhist ashrams or if you go to the Hare Krishna ashrams or different ashrams, the monks shave their heads. It's a sign of renunciation or giving up worldliness. I became a Hare Krishna when I was 19 years old. And just before I became a Hare Krishna, I was an acting student. I used to study acting with some tutors from the Actor Studio in New York. They're in Melbourne, so I was studying with them. And to pay for my acting classes, I was doing part-time modelling. So when I joined the Hare Krishna movement, I had a beautiful haircut. Every day I could get up and put gel in it and do the whole thing. And nice haircut. And then I became a Hare Krishna, and then after a few days living in the ashram, they shaved my head, and all my hair fell off. And I felt like all my ego was dropping to the ground. Because we have so much ego in our hair. How much time do we spend on our hair in our lifetime? Brushing it and drying it and washing it and colouring it and putting tips in it, and men and women, it's a whole thing. So for the last 30 years, because I only have one haircut, which is this, and this is the long version, I shave once a month, just knock the whole thing off. It's so easy. And it takes your consciousness away from your body, because we're not the body is just temporary, we're the soul. So to go beyond that, we just shave, and it's just easy. It just takes your ego away, just takes everything away. And it simplifies life. Like, I haven't spent any money on hair gel, anything. I haven't had to go to a barber for 30 years. I haven't spent any money on it. So it makes life simple. So it helps you be less materialistic. So we don't say everyone has to do it. It's not like to become a Hare Krishna you have to shave your head. I choose to. I like it. I don't feel natural with hair. I just don't, because of my lifestyle, I suppose. But if someone wants to, have haircuts or hairstyle, that's your choice. Krishna loves you either way. Right? We don't judge people and say, you're like this or like that. So we don't. But that's why we do it as monks.
May I ask just the bit at the back?
Yes, sir. Why do we keep the bit at the back?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't see it when I'm shaving, so I can. No, just joking. No.
I wouldn't say that.
No, technically it's called a shika. Shika means a flag.
Yep.
So it means shika, like flaps in the wind kind of thing. So just like if you go to India, you'll see there's many different traditions, and we all wear orange robes, like the Buddhists, like the Dalai Lama. Like, he wears robes similar to us, and has the bald head and everything, but they don't have the tuft of hair at the back, the shika. So it means they renounce the world. We also renounce the world, but then we believe God is a person. So then that shows our tradition. We are the Vaishnavas, or the personalists. Whereas many of the traditions, they don't believe that God is a person. They just believe God is just energy or light. He's not a person. So they shave their head completely. So it shows they're like in a different tradition or a different school of thought. So that's why we have different. So basically, if you see this means you'll know what their philosophy is.
Yeah.
It's like the uniform, so to speak. So.
It's like a symbol of following the. See, the Krishna was a Brahmin. It's like a community in India who follows the Krishna beliefs. So this is a kind of a symbol like these people used to have. And the shaving is, we offer our hair to God. We say we don't want hair, we want you. You take all our stuff, like when you think that, okay, now I want to be a follower. So having good clothes, long hairs, and looking beautiful, this is all waste of time. And the time what you have is all for God. So when you devote yourself to God, you leave all these stuff, like no more thinking about all these stuff and just concentrate on God. So I don't have that exact word which I can explain, but this is called, in India we call it like dan, like you give everything to people, to poor people, and you say, okay, now I live a pure life and give everything to the God. My all time, my money, my everything is the God. So this is what we do in India.
Yeah, that's more or less what I said.
Yeah, what I just told in my way.
Yeah.
It's that what we believe.
Yeah, it's a school of thought. That's why we keep the actual tuft of hair like that. Because some people, they believe that God is impersonal. He's just energy, or he's just light. Whereas we see him as being a personality. So it's like a different way of thinking like that. So, yeah. Like that. Any other questions? Yeah.
Why is Krishna blue?
Why is he blue? It is said that the colour is like something like sky blue. So you can see now, you can see parts of the sky are exposed. So when the sky is blue and we look at it, it opens our heart and we feel blissful, we feel happy. So because he's like the personification of happiness or bliss, then he is that colour because he's showing us that is his like mood. And he's just fully blissful. So it's just like you become so happy that, you know, I mean, we don't change colour, but, you know, sometimes you just see when someone's so happy, it just radiates. So he's like so happy, it's like his complexion even becomes bluish, like that. So that's how it's explained.
I have a second question.
Yeah.
Who is the female in the Rit Krishna in the paintings? It looks like, you know, is it a companion of some description?
Yeah, because God, Krishna, he has many friends, and we're also part of the tribe. But we left a long time ago. Because it's said that all of us were originally with him in that domain. In Christianity, they call it heaven. We call it Goloka. We have different names for it. So we were originally with him, but we wanted some space. So then he said, that's okay. I'll give you some space. You can go to the other place, the material world. This is the spiritual world, but you can go to the material world. And your soul, who is spiritual, who we are, gets trapped in a material body. And then we try to almost like imitate Krishna, imitate God. In other words, it's all for us. It's for our enjoyment, our pleasure. So we're all running around in this material world, trying to exploit it and trying to get pleasure for ourselves. We're very egocentric, very self-centered in this world. That's the basic psychology of everyone in this material world. And then when we want to revert back to going back to him, then we change our consciousness from being egocentric to being Krishna conscious, or focusing on serving him. And that's what we practice here. And then by that practice of serving him, then gradually we purify our consciousness, and then when we leave our body, our soul can go back to that dimension. So he has many friends. You see in the pictures, there's many friends. But there's one in particular who is his favourite amongst everyone. Her name is Radha. So that's who's with him in all the pictures. That's his best friend. She is his lover. She is his consort. And when we chant Hare Krishna, her name is Radha. Evocative name of her name is Hare. So we say Hare Krishna. So we say Radha Krishna. And then we say Hare Rama. Rama is also his name. So Hare Rama. So she's the feminine counterpart. He is God. She is the energy of God. So you have the sun. You have the sunshine. Right? The sunshine is the energy which comes from the sun. Gives heat, gives light. Like that. So she is his energy. She's the feminine counterpart. So he is the masculine person, the male. God's a male. Sometimes people say, oh, why does he have to be a male? Because he just is. So you can ask him when you meet him next time. Say, why are you a male? And I say, because I am. Just is. But his feminine counterpart is his eternal consort. And whenever we approach him, we approach her first. We say, Hare Krishna. Because women by nature are more compassionate by nature, softer by nature. I'm not talking 100% in this world, but generally even in this world we see it. Women are softer, they're more compassionate. So we don't approach him directly, we go through her. Because she's more likely to let us in. He's a little strict. You know, because that's his nature. He's a little like, you have to come up to the level first. She's like, it's okay, he's not too bad, let him in. Like that. So we go to her first, Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna. So she's very special to us. So in our tradition, we always worship them together, the female and the male aspect of the divine. You know, even though we see God as a male, but we don't just worship the masculine form, because she's sweeter and softer and all those things. Yeah. Nice question. Any other questions? I've got a bit more time, so if you want to ask anything, it can be about anything. Yeah.
With your daughter,
Yep.
She's been brought up the same as a Hare Krishna.
Yep.
And she believes in it. Has she ever questioned it, or?
We'd have to ask her if she's questioned it. Yeah, I'd have to ask her actually. About that. I mean, she believes Krishna is God, but that's of her own volition. I mean, I believe it, but I don't tell her. You know, she has to believe it.
So do the females not shave their heads?
Do females not shave their heads? Generally not. It's not natural for a woman to shave their head. Generally. I mean, it's the female nature is to be beautiful and to be feminine and to be, it's just the nature of females. So it's not so natural. So it's not required. Although there are some women who do it in our tradition. Some women do it. But I would say they're very, very renounced and very devoted. Most women don't feel that's like a natural way for them to approach or serve Krishna. So they generally they don't do it. It's optional, anyone can do it.
And if you had a son, what age would he shave his head?
He doesn't have to, it's his choice if he wants to. I'm like a priest. Yeah, I'm like a priest, I'm like a monk. I'm fully devoted. I'm a minister of religion, that's what I am. So for me, it just feels natural. If I grow my hair, I don't feel natural. I lived in the ashram as a monk, a celibate monk for 8 years. When I was 19 to 27. So, I never had hair for so long. For me and my practices, I feel comfortable like this. This is long for me. But it's not. Krishna never says you have to shave your head to get to him. He says you have to renounce your material desires and attachments. Right? We have to give up our material desires and material attachments. All of us have to do that. But we don't have to, shave your head or wear particular clothes or those things. They're externals like that. But I dress a particular way and I wear my hair a particular way because it feels like it assists me in my devotion. That's all. But there's nothing compulsory. That's all. But yeah, as for her, we'd have to ask her like that. She's probably on her phone at the moment, so if we can get her off her phone for a few minutes, we could ask her a question.
So when you say you give up things,
yeah,
you don't give up phones, etc.
No, we utilize everything in this world in the service of Krishna. That so I'm how do you say it? I'm a retreat center manager. I'm on the phone all the time because people are always contacting me. There's probably messages now being sent. Messages. Organising days like this, people. I've got to check Eventbrite. I've got to post on Facebook every day. To bring people to us like that. So I use all these tools, but normally I go to India for 1 month a year and I leave it here. I don't take it. Because I don't enjoy it. It doesn't do anything for me. If I didn't have to have a phone, I wouldn't. But that's practically my office right there. It's the power of technology at this point in time. But it's very distracting. It's very. I'm not attached to it. When I go to India without a phone for a month, that's the happiest I am. I just chant and I'm just absorbed in my spiritual practices, my sadhana, and I'm happy. And even when I'm there, I still have to check the internet once a day. Just to see if there's any really urgent things that I have to take care of.
You don't really get a choice of giving up everything, do you? There's some things you have to keep.
I could, but because of my vocation and my job, basically, I have to check once a day, even when I'm over there. Otherwise, if something big goes on, I have to be on top of it. But if I had a different job, I wouldn't have to. I could just go out and sell flowers or something, and then when I go to India, I don't have to. And even then, I probably have to check if the flowers are okay or something. Just the nature of the world we're in. It's a complicated world. But I'm much happier when I'm not. And when I joined the ashram, 1989 to 96, that's before mobile phones came in. I was so off the what are they called?
The grid.
The grid, yeah, good thing. I was so off the grid. I didn't even know when presidents in America changed. I didn't know anything. I was just so absorbed when I was a monk. I was just like oblivious to things. I didn't watch television, didn't have a phone. It's just like I was completely disconnected. I was, very, very happy. And I actually only got on Facebook in 2014 because I started running events from here, and someone said, "Oh, you really should be on Facebook." And I didn't even know what Facebook really was. But someone said, "Oh, you really should be." So I got on Facebook now, like very effective. Hands up if you came from Facebook today. About half the audience. So yeah. So that's why we do it, just so we can reach out to people. But it's very unpleasant, not very satisfying. I don't have a television. I don't just like surf the net and all these things. Big waste of time. Any other questions?
When you were talking about the monks, it's
Ashram? Yep.
So how many do you have, like how many that are here with you at the moment? Is there, if that makes sense, like how many
monks do we have here?
Yeah, yeah.
We don't have any monks here. Our ashram's in Melbourne, at our temple in Albert Park. That's where I lived for 8 years, in our temple there. Down here, we only have 2 families. We have 200 acres, but it's just myself, my wife, and my daughter. And Manikriva, who was singing before, and his wife, who was doing the offering.
Yep.
And their daughter, they live over there. So there's only 2 families here full time.
Yep.
And then everyone else here is they're semi full time or part time. We have a volunteer program.
Yep.
So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 volunteers here right at the moment.
Yep.
Should be a few more arriving this week, like that. So people come and go, but there's 2 families here full time. So there's no monks, there's not an ashram here, there's just families and like that. So,
How many are in the ashram in Melbourne?
how many monks? I think it's 15. About 15 monks.
Do they venture down here, or are they just devoted there?
When it's not COVID, they come down here. Yeah. I usually go to Melbourne once a week to teach in the temple.
Yeah.
I run a philosophy course, so I go there and I teach there a couple of nights a week. When it's not COVID, I haven't been there since February or something, I think, or March. I can't remember when I was there. Yeah, I've lost track of the lockdowns and that, but I think last time I was at the temple, I think it was earlier this year. So and they come down when they can. If they want a break or something, they come down here. And it's a very conducive place for meditation, and it's a very peaceful place here. That's why people like to come here. It's very peaceful. The vibration here is very different. It's like an Atlantis kind of thing. It's like you go in there and it's different when you're in there, and when you go out, it's probably a different atmosphere. I don't know. I haven't been out of here for months. I have. I go out once a week or something, twice a week, just to make sure the world's still okay. Any other questions?
I have a question about the education.
Yep.
So, in like the typical education system, we're kind of brought up to be employees, I guess. Does that education run the same? Like you said, you were running a school here. Is that the same kind of curriculum or system?
It's we've got a school in Moolumbar, which is near Byron Bay. We have 800 acres there, and we've had a school. The school's been running for about 40 years, and we have I think it's about 70 kids in the school. Some of them are like full-time Hare Krishna kids. Others are just kids from the local area who think it's a good school, so they come from there. It's a state-sponsored school, so the curriculum is the same. So, maths, English, science, geography, all the really important stuff that they teach us. And then there's the Krishna conscious element. So it's like if you go to a Catholic school, like my daughter goes to a Catholic school, Sacred Heart, so they have a religious studies part. They have to go to a couple of classes a week. So same thing, like every day, we do that arti, we do the blessing ceremony, we start the day like that every day. The kids do some chanting, obviously learn meditation, and then they learn a certain amount of the spiritual things and the cultural things from our tradition. So that's kind of in there. Like that. But it's not just a straight, it's a state school basically, because in Australia you have to run schools that cover a certain amount of really essential information. But when I went to school until year 12, and I can honestly say, if I look back to my 12 years of primary school and high school, I'd say about 10% of what they taught me was actually useful, and I actually use it. I'd say the other 90% was pretty much, pretty disposable like that. Like, trigonometry. Like for me, that's not necessary. For some people, yeah, it is. Because, if you're going to be an architect or an engineer, you need trigonometry. I'm a monk. I don't need trigonometry. Like, if you ask me, pi or the square root of something, I don't really need that. I never use it. So, for me, maths could have been finished probably in about grade 6. Because, I'm very good at my times table. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. That's all from grade 6. I was very good at maths in grade 6 level. When they went past that, I was like, I don't need this. So we've got an education system now which is very generic. It's not really specified. It really needs to be for the individual. And that's how the cultural system was. You learned in villages. You lived in a village, and there's basically in India there's 4 sections of society. So there's the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Sudras. So the Brahmanas are the holy people. So if you're growing up and either your parents were holy people, or you showed that inclination, you would learn that kind of knowledge, like I do. Like, study the scriptures, and you teach people like I'm teaching now. And then you have the Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas are the organizers, the kings, the soldiers. So they go out half the day, they spend, swords and arrows and bows and military arts, because they need that. They've got to protect everyone. And then they learn the other stuff as well. And then you have the Vaishyas. The Vaishyas are the mercantile people who do the farming, make the money, trade, look after the cows, all those things. So if you're growing up and that's what you were, then you go into that area. And the Shudras are the artisans, or like the goldsmiths, the blacksmiths, all the carpenters. So if you're growing up, that's your nature, then that's where they put you. So that's the best education system. But now we just have this generic kind of thing, which is not as good as it could be. It's the way it is. My daughter wants to be, she's in that band called Sweethearts. Have you heard of Sweethearts? They're in Geelong. They're like a youth band. They're quite well known. They travel around the world. And so it's like a jazz band, like a soul band. So she's in that band. So she's a flute player. She's quite an advanced flute player. So she either wants to be a musician, go into like music production, that kind of thing, or psychology, which, if she becomes a psychologist, is going to have full-time employment, because they've never been more booked out than ever before. So, she has to go to school to finish those things to go in either of those directions. So that's why we send her there. Otherwise, I'd just get her straight on. I'd say, what do you want to do? Psychology? Start studying psychology. But you have to go through this whole system at the moment. So. Yeah. Any other questions?
What is your typical day like?
What's my typical day like? We get up about 4 in the morning. And that mantra which we chanted before, like together, we also chanted on beads in a meditative way. So we chant like Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. So you do it like a meditation. So I do that for about 2 hours a day. So I get up early in the morning and I spend nearly 2 hours. Either I do it in one block or do it and then I do some more later. So we do that in the morning. We do our meditation. And then I study some ancient books. I read some ancient books. So I've got spiritual knowledge. So when people come, I can explain things to them. And then I do a little bit of my worship, which is kind of similar to what we saw before. I do some of that kind of like a little ceremony, which I do. And then I do some exercise, probably 5 to 15 minutes of like Pilates yoga kind of exercise, that kind of thing. And I have a shower somewhere in between all of that. And then I have breakfast. And then after breakfast, then I start running this place. So we have 2 sections of our farm. We have 200 acres. So the other side, which we'll go to later, that's where the cows are, that's where the veggies are, that's where we grow everything. So Manigriva, he lives over there and he runs that side of it. And then I run this side, which is the retreat center. So I'm in the office quite a lot, just trying to book retreats and get people to book. You know, we hire this space out to other groups. So we run our own retreats and then other groups come and they book the place. So a lot of my time is just spent to developing relationships with people and that kind of thing. And in the last 12 months, because we've been in lockdown, I developed the Art of Inner Peace, an online course. So if you go to our website, it's called Inner Peace Mentor. So if you want to look at that, then there's a whole lot of courses which I've developed, which you can take online because people can't always get here. And they, I cover all sorts of things like anger management and how to de-stress and all sorts of things which people are into. And for the last 10 weeks, I've been running an online course, which is called the Complete Self-Improvement Bootcamp, where people get online with me once a week and I spend an hour teaching them how to live their life in a more holistic way, so they can be more peaceful and more balanced like that. And 2 nights a week, I teach my philosophy course in Melbourne online. And we have a gathering every Thursday night. We get together here, and quite a few of our friends, they come from Colac and Geelong and places like that. They come over here and we kind of do what we did today, but like on a smaller scale. So we do that every Thursday night. You're welcome to come over for that if you want to hang out. And then in the evenings, then I just try to do a bit more reading, finish my meditation, spend some time with the family, like that. Go and visit the cows, stuff like that. It's a pretty nice lifestyle, like that. Our days off, we'll go down a lawn, we'll go swimming in the beach, or go for bushwalks or stuff like that. Pretty straightforward.
Do you guys all eat together every night, or is it just like Thursdays, or is it something that...
Yeah, Thursdays we get together in the evening. Most days we have lunch together, but breakfast and dinner we usually look after ourselves. Just with our families, we just cook something up. But then on Thursday nights we get together as well. And then if we have a special festival or something, then we'll get together as well.
You celebrate all festivals?
All the Hindu festivals?
Yes.
Yeah, Janmashtami and Radhashtami
and Diwali.
Holi. Yeah.
Because Holi is also Krishna's favorite festival.
Yeah, Holi, which is the colour festival where everyone throws colours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last time we did that was 2019, before COVID hit. And I did it in Torquay, and we had 1,000 people come.
Yeah.
And we set up a stage, and 1,000 people came. We all threw colour all over each other. And now the council, they actually contacted me a few days ago, and they said, are you going to run it next year? But there's so many restrictions. We have to put up a fence, like a cyclone fence. We can only have 150 people in there at a time, so it's too hard to manage.
Okay.
So I said, when the world's a bit more normal, we'll do it again. It's too much. It means I've got to count everyone. Oh, is there 150 people? Okay, everyone throw a colour. Don't go too close to each other. Now everyone out. Next, it's not going to work.
Maybe because now everybody's getting vaccinated, so we can do next year.
Yeah, they're saying that after December things will be more normal, but I want to give it about another year. I want to see how normal. Yeah, it's too hard to organise public events at the moment. Maybe in 12 months, they'll just let it run. I think at this point in time, the vaccination rates are up to where they're at. Just let it run. COVID's going to spike. Let it do its thing, and then it'll drop off, and then society. That's what I think. But we'll see. We'll see how they run. So, any other questions? Yeah.
I have a question.
Yep.
Or maybe it is a question.
Yep.
Do you have a take-home message for us?
Take-home message?
What would you like for us who are visiting?
Yeah, okay, it's very nice. Yeah, to encapsulate everything that was spoken about today. Yeah, I would say there's 3 things which I always advise everyone to do on their daily life. The first one is some sort of meditation on a daily basis. Now we do the chanting because we find that very powerful and very effective. If you meditate silently, that makes you peaceful. If we all just sit and just meditate, that makes you peaceful. That's very good because that makes the mind calm and peaceful. That's not the goal of meditation, but that's just the basis of meditation. But the chanting actually connects you to God himself, to Krishna himself, so it's very powerful. So when we teach people meditation, we say, okay, first of all, breathe, calm down, all those things. Because then when you do that, your chanting becomes much more effective. So I would say every day do some chanting. Just like before, we were all chanting together. You can do that in your home. Just put your hands up in the air and just say Hare Krishna, and then just dance around your kitchen table. Right? And you'll feel blissful. You'll feel very happy. If it doesn't work, we'll give you your money back. So it's the first thing I would recommend. Do some chanting on a daily basis. Second thing I'd recommend is be vegetarian. Don't eat animals. It's not cool. As Paul McCartney, has anyone heard of Paul McCartney? Yeah. Which band was he in?
It's George's friend.
Oh, George, same band. So Paul McCartney once said, if the abattoirs had glass walls, no one would eat meat. If you went down there to Colac, the big abattoir, and you saw what actually goes on, no one would eat meat. So because we're so disconnected, then we think it's okay. So what I would say is be vegetarian. And if you really want to take it a step further, that's good. Being vegetarian is good, but there's still karma being a vegetarian, because you still have to take the life of the carrot or the broccoli. There's life there. You took it. So the karma is much more minimal than when you eat an animal. But if you offer the food to Krishna like we did before, we cooked the vegetarian feast, we offer to Krishna, then he destroys the karma. So there's no karma. It actually uplifts you, it enlightens you just by eating it. So I would say that. I would say, best case scenario, offer your food to Krishna. That would be the best. And the third thing I would say is read spiritual books every day. Like the Bhagavad Gita, which is our main book, like that. We have a shop just there in the back, so if you want to, after you eat, if you want to go and look in the shop, we have all these books, we have other things there. So read the spiritual books every day. And that will enlighten your consciousness, because we waste so much time. Everyone watches Netflix and television, and like I had a friend, Ronnie, he works in a factory in Melbourne a few years ago. And he's a really nice guy. And he said to me, he rings me once in a while, and he rings me and said, Kesh, I just worked 3 months really hard. I just brought this big TV, flat screen, big TV, 12 foot or something, huge, $3,000 TV. He said, I just worked so hard, got the TV, so excited, got there, turned it on, and he said, there's nothing on. There's nothing to watch. About 10% of what's on there is actually interesting. It's just 90% of, whatever they're trying to throw together. So, that's why people watch Netflix and those things, because it's on demand. You can watch exactly what you want. That's why television's dying and these on-demand things are becoming more popular. But even those things, is it the most significant, or is it the best way to use your human existence, your life? Just to watch Netflix. I can say, I've watched all of Vikings. I've watched how many seasons were there? 10 seasons or whatever. Or Game of Thrones. I've watched, is that the culmination of your existence? We're not saying don't do these things, but I'm just saying if that's it, So that's why every day if you read some spiritual books, you'll get a nourishment, you get a fulfillment, which you can't get from superficial things. So I'd say those three things. Do some chanting, offer your food, and read some spiritual things. That'd be my advice. But everyone can do whatever they want. Because everyone does whatever they want anyway. The purpose of this place is just to be a guide. Right? You come here, you see an enlightened existence, you learn, and if you like it, you do it as well. And if you don't like it, you still had a good day. And if you do like it, yeah, cool. And if you want to come here regularly, that's really cool, because then we like hanging out with people. So the more people that come here, the better. We like people being around. So we've got 200 acres, so there's plenty of room. Any other questions? Anything else? Final. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, for listening so patiently. Thank you for your enlightening questions. I very much enjoyed them. So We've got a free magazine, which is here, it's just up here. So if you want to learn more about us, just take that, that's free. You can look at that. Is anyone hungry? Okay.
You
Sure.
cook Indian food?
Do we cook Indian food? I think so. Yeah. We cook all types, because we're vegetarian.
Okay.
So we cook Indian, we cook...
I'm a pure vegetarian person.
I'm also.
Yeah, I don't even eat egg.
I don't even eat egg.
I don't even eat egg in
I don't even eat... I don't even eat onion or garlic.
Same here.
Or mushrooms.
No, I don't even eat mushrooms. No,
I tell you, I don't touch any of it.
Yeah, I don't even buy them.
I don't even look at it. I don't even look at it when I go to the supermarket. I won't even look at a mushroom.
Do you run all your food from here?
Do we grow it here?
Yeah.
As much as we can.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not all grown here, but
Yeah.
because everything's seasonal.
Yeah,
Like when you go to the supermarket, you get capsicums. Like capsicums don't grow in winter.
No.
That's all in hothouses coming from New South Wales and
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, we grow whatever we can here.
Yeah.
Like that. So if you just go outside and then you just turn right and we'll serve you there. You can get your lunch. And then we have a dining room in there. So if you want to eat inside, you can eat in the dining room. Or there's chairs all around the outside as well. So if you want to sit outside, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then if you want to come and see the cows, in about 45 minutes, just meet us in front of the kitchen. We'll go over and see the cows and you can feed the holy cows. And you can see our veggie garden and our orchard and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to do that. So please come again. You're very welcome to come here. We're very happy to have you all here. So please come again. Please come to our place. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.